DiPrima. Go, sis.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. And Dominique DiPrima is under the weather, understandable given this rain. This rain is something for Southern California. Got me wanting to sing a reverse Tony song. Good morning, everybody. My name is Melina Abdullah. I am blessed and honored to be sitting in the Queen of Radio's chair. My name is Melina Abdullah. I'm professor of Pan-African Studies at Cal State LA's College of Ethnic Studies. I'm also co-founder of Black Lives Matter Los Angeles, Black Lives Matter Grassroots, where I'm also director. And I am Thandiwe Amara and Amen's mama. Thandiwe Amara and Amen's mama. I'm saying that especially this morning because my oldest child, Thandiwe, is going to join me for the first hour of this Freedmen's Friday. We're going to be talking about Freedmen's Bureau. We're going to be talking about Frederick Douglass. It's Frederick Douglass's chosen birthday today. And we're going to also be talking about the alignment between reparations and calls for justice around the world, especially in light of these ICE raids that are plaguing our brown and immigrant communities. Black Lives Matter Grassroots issued a statement about that. And as a staunchly pro-reparations organization, we're going to talk about the consistencies between calling off ICE and calling for reparations. So that's in the first hour. Thandiwe Abdullah, who's a senior at Howard University and co-founder of the Black Lives Matter Youth Vanguard, will be joining me. Second hour, we have Brother Mandela Kaisi joining. He is from the Los Angeles City Reparations Task Force. Many of you all know him if you've been doing any kind of organizing or justice work or educational justice work in Los Angeles. Then Mandela is a fixture, and he'll be joining the second hour. Third hour, we're going to talk about a new Oscar-nominated film, The Last Ranger, which is set in South Africa. We're going to be talking about all of that on First Things First. Of course, before we start with anything, we want to ground ourselves. We want to recognize the presence of our ancestors. We want to recognize our Creator. We want to ask that this platform be used for good, that we are used for good, that the words of our mouths and the thoughts that emerge from us are intended to do good in the world and honor, again, our most righteous ancestors and our God as we move forward. So I want everyone, if you can, please still yourself for just a moment and take a deep breath in and breathe out. Thankful for the rain, thankful for this land, which is the indigenous land of the indigenous people. Thankful for the labor that brought into being this country that was labored by our stolen African ancestors. We're grateful, and again, we're prayerful that this show serves as an offering. Again, my name is Melina Abdullah, and I am grateful to have on the line this my first Valentine, right? The first one to wish me a happy Valentine's Day. Not that I celebrate Valentine's Day very often, but I do celebrate love, and it is a love day, and who more fitting to have us on the radio, or have with us on the radio, and have as my first phone call this morning than my oldest child, Thandiwe. Thandiwe means the loving one and beloved in both Zulu and Xhosa, which are South African languages. Thandiwe, I'm so grateful and fortunate that you called me this morning, that you were up this morning. You're on East Coast time this morning, and you're able to join us on the show. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me, and happy Valentine's Day, everyone.
Oh, happy Valentine's Day. Happy Black Love Day. Happy Thandiwe Day, the loving one day. And today is also the chosen birthday of Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass, I wake up every Valentine's Day thinking of him. because Frederick Douglass, as we talk about reparations, as we talk about abolitionism, people sometimes think that these are new terminologies, new struggles. But when we think about our honored ancestor, Frederick Douglass, who despite Donald Trump's account of history is a long-standing ancestor, right? Who
he is not still alive, Donald. Yeah, I know him personally. No, you do not. Anyways.
For people who are not in on the joke, Tandiwe, remind them of what the Trumpster said.
Donald Trump doesn't even know who Frederick Douglass is, and this is why we need critical race theory. He thought that Frederick Douglass was still alive.
Frederick Douglass, he lives in our hearts. He's an honored ancestor, but his body has been gone for hundreds of years, or more than 100.
Like 1890 something.
Right.
Yeah.
160 years. My math is terrible. 107. What is that? 180 years. Almost 200. So I wasn't that far off. He was an enslaved ancestor. What are you talking about, Donald Trump? This is why you need to take a Black Studies class. Maybe he's canceling Black Studies and DEI and threatening ethnic
to make
studies.
Himself feel better?
Make himself feel better. Because he knows he would fail my class. He would absolutely get an F in my class.
What a blow to his self-esteem that would be.
Huh? What'd you say, Tandiwe?
I said that would be a horrible blow to his self-esteem. I would love to see you give him a big fat F.
Big
but
fat
I'm sure
F.
We're already doing that in our hearts.
Yeah, absolutely. He gets an F for many reasons. But who does not get an F is our honored ancestor, Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass, who, if you have not read the life of Frederick Douglass, you should. It's his autobiography. It talks about him taking his own freedom, but it also talks about the way in which he really was an architect of what abolitionism is, right? He was an architect of what reparations is. And you, sitting in Washington, D.C., as a senior at Howard University, and I, as an alumna of Howard University, we owe a debt of gratitude to Frederick Douglass. Why is that, Tandiwe Abdullah?
Frederick Douglass is the reason why Howard University is here today. He was a chair of the Freedmen's Bureau, correct?
Yes.
And he was heavily responsible for the funding of HBCUs, but specifically Howard owes him a tremendous debt. He served as, I think, a trustee of Howard until he died. And Howard was originally supposed to be named Frederick Douglass University. And he respectfully, so humble, our ancestor Frederick Douglass, he did not want the university to be named after him, and instead asked that the university be named after General George Howard, who funded and supported HBCUs. He was a white man, but fought for the Union Army. And so Howard University honored Frederick Douglass's wishes, of course, because how could you not? This university exists today because of him. But we have immortalized him. I have most of my classes in Douglass Hall, which is a building on campus that is used quite often by many different departments, political science, a lot of the social science departments, the language departments, and this is his legacy. This is how we honor him, and we honor him through education. We honor him through his preserving his living memory. So I don't know, maybe that's what Donald Trump was talking about. I don't know if you heard a Howard student talking one day very passionately, but we love Frederick Douglass over at Howard University, and every student there has to, when I say has to, you have to know in order to graduate who Frederick Douglass is and what his contribution was to our specific university and to the greater DC and to the greater abolitionist movement. So I'm very, I want to sit in that gratitude today. Thank you, Frederick Douglass, our beautiful ancestor, for continuing to teach us even from beyond in the ancestral realm.
That's right. That's right. Frederick Douglass, who is a model for all of us, who reminds us that abolitionism absolutely means toppling unjust systems like slavery. And it also means building new ways of being, new institutions, new systems, including the HBCU system. Howard University, founded in 1867, through the thought and prayer and work and labor of our revered ancestor, Frederick Douglass, whose life we celebrate today. And of course, Howard University, again, was originally supposed to be named Douglass University, but he chose to honor the Freedmen's Bureau chair, General Otis Howard instead.
Oh, my God.
General Otis Howard. That's okay. General Otis Howard, and everybody just says General Howard, but
Howard
chose to honor him instead. So we're lifting up Frederick Douglass today, and so that's why February 14th is such an important day for us, because it is in memory of Frederick Douglass. When we come forward, we have more with Thandiwe Abdullah as we jump into what is abolition, what is reparations, and why do reparationists have to stand alongside the oppressed people worldwide, including those who migrated to the United States as a result of global colonialism? More with Thandiwe Abdullah when we come forward.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward. It's KBLA Talk 1580's third annual Black History Month luncheon, and you're invited. This is year 2 of our climate justice work, and this year's $2 million 12-month campaign is all about linking and combating the relationship between climate and Black health. We already know that these wildfires will leave in their wake even greater inequities, including negative impacts on Black health, given the toxic air pollutants circulating in the air we breathe. So, as part of this year's climate campaign, we're honoring Black doctors and leaders in healthcare at our annual Black History Month luncheon, Friday, February 28th at noon. If you would like to join us, just go to our KBLA 1580 website and register for your chance to be our guest at the luncheon. We'd love to see you. And in case you haven't heard the news, KBLA Talk 1580 was just named one of the semifinalists for the American Climate Leadership Awards 2025. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down.
Sometimes we lose, sometimes we win. Sometimes we try to fit it all in. Sometimes we don't know what's in store. Sometimes we find what we're looking for. Sometimes we're rolling easy and free. Sometimes 1 and 1 makes 3. So much to love along this ride. That's why Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and Affiliates, Columbus, Ohio.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide Free and Gentle provides an excellent Tide clean, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues like dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on your skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
What you want to do, huh? KBLA Talk 1580 is thrilled to share that we have been named as a semi-finalist for the coveted American Climate Leadership Awards, honoring our climate work last year. We're also delighted to announce year 2 of our Climate Justice Crusade. This year's $2 million 12-month campaign will link and combat the relationship between climate change and poor health outcomes for African Americans and the poor. Climate inequities have taken a toll with multiple health triggers in the Black community, such as extreme heat and poor air quality, made worse by the recent wildfires. Our work to ensure climate justice and climate equity continues. In the coming weeks and months, you'll be hearing a lot more about our 2025 climate campaign. To learn more about our plans for this year and the companies and organizations supporting us, Log on to our website at KBLA1580.com. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black. Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
And my name is Melina Abdullah. I am not Dominique DiPrima, but we are sending Dominique our love and our best wishes and our healing energy as she recovers from a slight illness this morning. I'm grateful to be sitting in her chair and to be in conversation with my loving one, my daughter, my oldest child, Tandiwe Abdullah, who's a senior at Howard University. They are co-founder of the Black Lives Matter Youth Vanguard, and they are also one of the greatest statement writers that I know. So Tandiwe, regularly, this is who we go to in Black Lives Matter Grassroots, which is Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter Grassroots is the boots on the ground. We're the people who stand on front lines of struggle, not simply on red carpets. And I have a lot more to say, but I'll hold it back for now. Tandiwe is one of the folks who gets us to really think critically about the world around us and take what I know to be righteous stances. So Tandiwe, I know I tell you often, but I'm telling you here that we are so grateful for how you pull us into our best selves, how you remind us to be courageous, especially in times such as these, when we're assaulted under constant attack by fascists and racists who are completely unmasked in this moment. And I think that it's important, we've been talking about Frederick Douglass and the life of Frederick Douglass, that we remember that we have to demand our freedom. We have to demand justice. We have to engage in struggle. And so I want to start off this part of the conversation with reading probably one of the best known Frederick Douglass quotes that's especially powerful and important on this rainy day. Frederick Douglass, our revered ancestor, said, "Those who profess to favor freedom and yet depreciate agitation are people who want crops without plowing the ground. They want rain without thunder and lightning. They want the ocean without the roar of its many waters. The struggle may be a moral one, or it may be a physical one, or it may be both. But it must be a struggle. It must be a struggle. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never has, and it never will. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never has, and it never will." So as we are facing down power, we have to make demands. We have to be willing to struggle. We have to say, yes, we want to enjoy the ocean and understand that it sometimes roars. That in the midst of the rain, which we desperately need in Southern California, there's also thunder and lightning and sometimes leaky roofs, right? And so we have to be engaged in the midst of struggle. And Tandiwe, I'm so grateful that you remind us of that constantly, that we can't just seek sunny days, that we have to be reminded constantly of our duty, our sacred duty, to engage in struggle and engage in righteous struggle, to be willing to have both moral and physical fights, right? Moral and physical battles. And when we think about Donald Trump and what he has unleashed on this world, on this entire world, I taught class yesterday, and I didn't share this with you. We didn't talk last night. We just talked quickly this morning. But at the end of last class, there was one of my students, and we were talking, and she just broke, and she started crying, and she said, "I'm just so scared." And you know how I am. I think I'm everybody's mama. So I embraced her, and we cried, and she was saying that she's a mother and she's so scared for her young daughter. And this world is a threat to not just her life, but her daughter's life. And when we think about what Donald Trump is unleashing every single day, every single moment, the fight is just constant. When we think about everything from the threats to DEI, which are threatening my own college. I don't know. I haven't talked to you about this either because I don't want you to worry. But, you know, even liberals, right? California claims to be a liberal state. They're talking about succumbing to Trump, right? And undoing things like ethnic studies and the second college of ethnic studies in the entire nation. They're talking about undoing an ethnic studies requirement that you put your body and your life on the line to help create within LAUSD. When we talk about the threats that Donald Trump poses, we understand that he's declaring that there's only two genders, but there's other people here, gender nonconforming people here, and trans people here, right? When we think about Donald Trump's threats to women's autonomy over our own bodies, these are constant threats. And one of the greatest threats is the threats that he poses to migrant folks and those who appear to be migrants. Because I want you to talk about, I love if you would read the statement that you wrote on behalf of Black Lives Matter Grassroots. And I know it was a collective process, but you were really the architect of that statement and of our positioning around immigration, where you talk about the hypocrisy of these colonizers daring to call the indigenous people of this land illegals. Anyway, Tandiwe, I want to pause there and see if you have the eyes that I don't have anymore to read the statement that Black Lives Matter Grassroots issued this week around the ICE raids.
I would be honored. And I would just like to say I'm very proud that Black Lives Matter Grassroots has taken this stance. I think there's been a concerted effort to divide the Black and Brown community, which we can get into later, but very proud of this statement. It reads as follows. Beloved family, Donald Trump has declared war on the people. In the few weeks since his inauguration, we have witnessed horrifying stories of immigration and customs enforcement, also known as ICE, raiding, these raids are being carried out under his administration's orders to round up undocumented people. These raids have taken place in schools, at public transit stops, in churches, in grocery stores, and at homes, spaces where we should all feel free and safe. These racist attacks predominantly target our Latinx relatives, and we have seen repeated attempts by this administration to pit Black and Brown communities against one another. Let us be clear. Black Lives Matter Grassroots will never abandon our undocumented family, nor will we forget that most African Americans arrived to this country falsely named as chattel by the same colonial forces that drew false borders. Black people also continue to be a global people. Anti-immigrant policies harm our continental African, Haitian, Caribbean, Afro-Latinx, Arab, and other Black migrant siblings who have been targeted by ICE raids in places like Florida and Ohio. In the ultimate act of hypocrisy, the indigenous people of this very land have been racially profiled by ICE and held unlawfully on suspicion of being Latinx. Our communities must unite to resist this fascist, white supremacist agenda. We must continue educating one another about our rights, because we do have rights. Being undocumented is not a crime. Settler colonialism is. People have the right to live, move, and travel freely, especially on land still being actively colonized by the settler state. Our opposition to repression and state terror must continue to be loud, strong, and unwavering. Black people born in the United States stood with our immigrant siblings in 2016 and throughout Trump's first administration, and we continue to stand together now. We remain committed to showing up and standing in solidarity. We support and are especially inspired by our youth and their bold acts of resistance, from school walkouts to direct action. We know that dissent, civil disobedience, radical visioning, and organizing are are our only options in the face of a fascist regime that seeks to divide us, separate families, and take away our loved ones through detentions, deportations, and other acts of state terror. To our immigrant siblings, we are here, we are with you, and we will not stop until we are all free.
More with Tandiwe Abdullah when we come forward.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. New poll results show former Vice President Kamala Harris would be a heavy favorite for California governor if she decides to run in 2026. The Emerson College poll surveyed registered Democrats in California earlier this month. 57% of respondents say they would support Harris. Governor Gavin Newsom plans to veto a bill that would stop California's prison system from cooperating with ICE. The bill aims to end the requirement to notify ICE about prisoners' eligibility for deportation and comply with ICE hold requests. Blue Origin laid off over 1,000 employees, about 10% of its workforce. CEO Dave Limp cited rapid growth, bureaucracy, and a loss of focus, with future efforts aimed at improving efficiency. And Philadelphia is ready to party. City officials expect 1 million people to attend this morning's NFL championship ceremony. I'm Bree Wood on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First.
If you or someone you know is affected by the Los Angeles wildfires, you are not alone. No matter how sad, scared, or heartbroken you feel, CalHope is here for you and all those affected by the devastating wildfires. Find free, safe, and confidential mental health support at calhope.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The USC women's basketball team and their superstar Juju Watkins gave number 1 UCLA their first loss of the season Thursday night, a 71-60 win in front of a sellout and star-studded crowd at the Galen Center. Juju had 38 points, 11 rebounds, and 8 block shots. The win snapped UCLA's 23-game winning streak and moved USC in the first place in the Big Ten Conference, a half a game ahead of UCLA. USC and UCLA will meet again March 1st at Pauley Pavilion. Some of the celebrities in the house to watch last night's game: comedian Kevin Hart, actresses Sanae Lathan and Jessica Alba, USC legend Cheryl Miller, Dodgers manager Dave Roberts, Washington Commanders quarterback Jaden Daniels, Russell Westbrook, LA Sparks guard Kelsey Plume, former NBA players Dwayne Wade and Danny Ainge, and Vanessa Bryant and her daughter Natalia, a film student at USC. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a Black and brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at walkgoodla. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
call your senior Medicare patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
They can do anything they want to us. We might not be back. I might be in jail. I might be anywhere. But when I leave, you can remember I said with the last words on my lips, I am a revolutionary.
On Saturday, February 22nd, you are invited to A Night with the Panthers, a special fundraiser dedicated to supporting Black Panther veterans who now require assistance with essential needs such as medicine, food, and housing. These Black Panther veterans championed human rights, fed the hungry, educated the community, and stood as powerful symbols of resistance and resilience. Despite their incredible sacrifices, loving and serving the people did not come with retirement plans or financial security. So, now it's our time to honor their legacy and ensure that they are cared for with the dignity they deserve. You can help by attending and supporting A Night with the Panthers, Saturday, February 22nd, 6:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the Project 43 Team Post Center, 6841 Crenshaw Boulevard, Los Angeles. For more information, contact Black Panther Party Breakfast at gmail.com or call 707-554-2784. That's Black Panther Party Breakfast at gmail.com or call 707-554-2784. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black. Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
You know I want to let the whole song go for you, Tandy Way. Can you hear the song, Tandy?
I can. I know this is my song.
The Most Beautiful Girl in the World is the song that Tandiwe, it was Tandiwe's song. It's the song I danced around the hospital room with them in my arms. And it's interesting because the girl thing, right? But you are the most beautiful. You are the most beautiful heart in the world. I'm grateful for you, Tandiwe.
Oh, guys.
And wait, you know the other thing?
Relationship.
What you said?
I said, I hope everyone can see we have such a cute relationship. Guys, I love my mom so much. Happy Valentine's Day. She's the best. She's everyone's mama, but she's my mama first.
Tandy, you can't see because you're not on YouTube. I also have on all your clothes today. I have
You went in my room?
No, you let me have it. The pink Be Kind sweatsuit.
Aww.
That's what I was wearing it regardless. But
she loves the suit, and it's really cute on her. It's a very cute one.
Yes.
She's an AKA, so she loves the pink.
Well, I'm grateful for you. Happy Valentine's Day. And when we and just a few minutes ago, though, I think it's really important as we talk about love and the loving one. You are the loving one. That's what the intention of your name is, that you are the loving one. That love is a verb, and love is both big and small. Right? So love exists between mothers and daughters, between, romantic partners. Love exists between siblings. I love how you all love each other. But love is also a love that requires that we love the world, right? That we love the world. Love, if you are really a loving person, it requires that we do justice work. And so you just read the Black Lives Matter grassroots statement about the ICE raids, which is really motivated by love. And, Huey P. Newton says revolution has to be grounded in love. To be revolutionaries, you have to be loving people. And so one of the things that's coming up, I think, as we started this conversation about Frederick Douglass and abolition and reparations, and then we're into this conversation now about what this means, what position as revolutionaries we must take around these ICE raids, I think that there's an opportunity to kind of reconcile, because you began the statement by talking about how there's an attempt by white supremacy, an attempt by fascism to pit Black and brown communities against one another. And I think that when I look at social media, some of us are falling for that. Some of us are falling for that pitting against one another. But really, our freedom comes from being bound up together. Can you talk a little bit about why, as a Black-centered organization, why we have to take a strong stance against ICE raids, which, yes, affect all people, including Black immigrants that are kind of facing a disproportionate attack, but why it's important that we, in this moment under fascism, that we tie ourselves, that we understand that our freedom is bound up with the freedom of indigenous people, the freedom of brown folks, and the freedom of migrants around the world.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the rise of fascism, we've seen a lot of effort to draw Black people into this. And it's been through so many different avenues. I mean, even just like the cultural component, I've been seeing a lot of Black Americana for some reason. Black folks trying to say that the American flag is our flag, using the cultural capital that Black people have created in this country, or this alleged country, to kind of infiltrate the minds of our people and delude us into thinking that somehow this settler state is our settler state, which is crazy, because this is the same settler state that enslaved our ancestors, that forcibly, horrifically, brutally, honestly, genocidally stole us from our land and placed us here, forced us to build this nation. It was not by force. I mean, it was not by choice.
What? Kanye West said it was by choice.
Oh, no.
Kanye's wrong? No. Kanye West is
wrong. The
wrong.
Black Studies icon?
Kanye also needs to take a black... I actually, we'll go into a whole conversation about that if I go down that road.
We can talk about
but he
later,
needs a Black Studies class. He needs a Black Studies professor in his life.
He needs a lot more than that.
Yeah.
He needs a lot more than that.
So he's wrong. Slavery was not a choice. But go ahead.
Slavery was not a choice. And people have been saying, like, our people built this country. We have a right to claim it. Yeah, they built this country because of slavery. Like, did we not forget that? I mean, did we forget about that part? Like, this is a deeply concerning sentiment in our community. We are a stateless people. We are not, we have never been completely considered American. We have never, Black is a country. Black is our nation, right? And so it's been frustrating to see our people. And it feels frustrating even as I think about the ancestors, the people who toiled, the people who were tortured to build this false settler state on stolen land. It feels so disrespectful to say that somehow their enslavement like gives us now the right to be colonizers, or to identify with a colonizing fascist genocidal state.
So you're saying, as survivors of the African Holocaust, as descendants of enslaved people, our duty is to tie ourselves to resist and stand with those who colonization has also targeted and oppressed. And it means we demand reparations. It means we absolutely are entitled to reparations, but it also means that there's a land back movement that is righteous. We don't identify with our oppressor. Instead, we identify with the resistance. I want to hear what folks think this Freedmen's Friday. So give us a call at 800-920-1580. 800-920-1580. How does that settle in for you? More with Tandiwe Abdullah when we come forward.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to gear with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024 by USA Today, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, just $189.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 500,000 happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
I feel so alone.
I'm embarrassed to talk about it.
How can I help my kid if I can't help myself?
I can't remember when I wasn't stressed.
I don't like stress inside.
When you feel overwhelmed by your thoughts and emotions, it's okay to get help. You are not alone. CalHope is here for you with free, safe, and confidential mental health resources for youth, young adults, families, and you. Find support now at calhope.org.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has WorkSource centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Find a righteous rage and don't be afraid to say what you see. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
My name is Melina Abdullah, and I am sitting in the Queen of Radio's chair this morning, sitting in for Dominique DiPrima, who's feeling a little bit under the weather. This Freedmen's Friday, we're in conversation with Thandiwe Abdullah, who's co-founder of the Black Lives Matter Youth Vanguard. She's a senior. They're a senior at Howard University, and they happen to be my oldest child. They're also author of this statement that was released earlier this week by Black Lives Matter Grassroots about the ICE raids. And as we engage in this conversation, I think it's really important to underscore the point that I think you're making, Thandiwe, that as oppressed people, as those who hail from the system of chattel slavery, which attempted to dehumanize us, we have to side with others who are also oppressed by a settler colonial state rather than siding with that oppressor state and kind of rejoicing in rampant oppression and attempts to dehumanize those who migrated to this country, usually because of global colonialism. Is that right? And I know I'm putting words in your mouth, but that's how I'm understanding what you're saying.
No, that's exactly right. And we have a duty as people who were among the first to have suffered the brutal and violent harm because of the creation of this state. We should understand better than anyone that resistance is the key to our liberation. Resistance of this state, resistance of the fascist, white supremacist values and genocidal values that this state was built on it's not just something that we must do, but it's something that we have done. And it's a legacy that we need to continue to build upon. And so hopefully, one of the things I love most about our Black people is the way that we are born into struggle and that we take on the struggle in every single generation. We are a resilient people. We are a people who, when so much has been taken from us and when so much of our history is being erased, we build upon our own histories. We pass down our own oral traditions and our own tradition of resistance and of struggle. And that is something to take pride in, not the stars and stripes, not the bombs, not the wars and the fascist values of this country, but in ourselves and in our power collectively. And so I think we should extend that. It's a beautiful thing that we have, and we should extend that and teach the world, teach the greater community what that resistance can look like, not just for ourselves, but for total liberation of all people. I think we have a lot to offer.
Wow, I really appreciate that. What do you say? Because I've been disturbed by some of these social media posts that I've been seeing from those who claim to be reparationists, right? Those who claim to be Black first, right? And I'm a Black first person, right? But what I'm seeing with these social media posts is kind of an almost rejoicing of the terror that's being exacted on non-Black migrants. But even there was one earlier today, it might have been last night, but I saw it earlier this morning, even targeting Black migrants and saying, we need to get them out. What do you say about that? Are you as disturbed as I am? Are you seeing it as much as I am on social media with folks who are absolutely pro-Black, but then kind of assaulting and assailing and then rejoicing in the terror that's being exacted, especially on brown migrants?
It's deeply concerning and it's deeply saddening to know that our community is capable of acting this way. I have seen those posts and I have seen those sentiments. I think a lot of it comes from, there is a very large not a very large, but there was a movement of Latino and Latinx folks who supported Donald Trump, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think a lot of people are not rejoicing, but they're kind of mocking the hypocrisy, right, of that. But I have never understood that because there's also Black folks who voted for Trump. There are people within every marginalized group in this country who maybe they voted for Trump because they liked him, maybe they just wanted something different, maybe it was a protest vote, whatever. Our communities should not face these dehumanizing actions, no matter who they are, no matter what you believe in. People have a right to life. People have a right to live freely and to want a better life for themselves, for their families. Unfortunately, this settler state occupies this land, but we know that so many people historically and ancestrally have been dispossessed of their lands. The U.S. has intervened in almost, I think, every Latin American country. I don't know if there's a Latin American country that hasn't faced U.S. intervention. We've destabilized so many governments, so many populations, so many ancestral ties to land and culture and values have been interrupted because of the U.S.'s settler interventions, including African Americans. We have lost so much of our knowledge, of our ancestral knowledge. We have been removed from our lands. Even talking about like Black folks' connection to this land, right? The way that Black farmers are under attack, the way that poor Black folks in the South, the way that Black folks in the North, people can't buy homes, our communities are being gentrified. All of these things are connected. And so it's super frustrating and saddening to see the ways that our community has fallen victim to the propaganda. But I'm also very inspired to see, I don't think it's getting as much attention because, again, there is a concerted effort to pit our communities against each other. I think that those posts and those sentiments are being highlighted and pushed to the top instead of the acts of solidarity. I just saw a high school in Baltimore full of Black kids walk out of their school in solidarity with undocumented Latinx, with their undocumented Latinx peers. And I thought it was the most beautiful thing, and it got barely any media circulation.
Right.
I just saw a group of Black folks kick Nazis out their neighborhood.
In Ohio.
In Ohio.
That's right.
And this is a type of community defense and support that we should be engaging in and promoting. And it's happening. And I want our people to realize that this is how we get free.
I think that's so important and so powerful and such an important reminder for me, because sometimes I'm focusing on what's disturbing, but I do have to remember, we have to remember that a lot of that is manipulated, because if we look at just the numbers and we look at our own experiences, we understand that Black people have stood in solidarity and continue to stand in solidarity with people around the world more than any other group. So when we talk about the Free Palestine movement, when we talk about the fight for indigenous rights, when we talk about ending family separations, it's been Black people, specifically Black people in this country, who've been on the side of right. So thank you for that reminder. And I think it's also a reminder to those who are being lured into their lower selves to stand in our highest selves. We have just about a minute, Tandiwe. What last thoughts do you want to offer?
Well, this has been a beautiful segment. I just want to offer to the community, when we talk about love, love is a radical act. Like you were saying earlier, love, the first revolution has to begin inside of you, inside of your heart and your soul. Radically loving the community around you, showing up for people, building networks of care and love and trust. This is how we show each other that we will not lie down and take this quietly. We will be here, we will continue to be here, and we will fight to make sure that that is a reality. So that is what love means to me, and I hope y'all go through your Valentine's Day in that radical love.
Thank you so much. And we again embrace the spirit of Frederick Douglass. We embrace you, Tandiwe. Tandiwe, how do people follow you if they want to hear more?
I'm not really followable at this time, but I'm in the streets though, so
that's
y'all
right.
might see me somewhere.
That's right. Well, we're grateful for you this morning, Tandiwe. Abdullah, thank you for joining me. When we come forward, we'll have Mandela Kaise talking about reparations in the city of Los Angeles.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. New poll results show former Vice President Kamala Harris would be a heavy favorite for California governor if she decides to run in 2026. The Emerson College poll surveyed registered Democrats in California earlier this workforce. CEO Dave Limp cited rapid growth, bureaucracy,